Hello, everyone. This is Rob from the 411 for the 719. I am the lead admin in the group, and I'm here this morning with Trey Clark from All American Cyber. This is part of a series of podcasts we are doing at relaunching, in which we interview local influencers, local businesses, try to highlight them and show them what they're doing, show folks what they're doing, and just bring some attention to them. So, without further ado, Trey Clark, hello.
Hey, how's it going?
Good man. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. I'm doing well. I appreciate you bringing me on, and I'm happy to have the opportunity to talk to the community. So,
Well, I'm glad to have you here. So I understand you are the owner of All American Cyber. Tell me a little bit about yourself and All American Cyber.
yeah, that's correct. So, I just recently started All American Cyber. I have a pretty lengthy background in the IT industry, working from everything from cybersecurity to systems administration. I noticed a trend that most IT services are geared to medium to large sized businesses, leaving small businesses kind of out in the cold to fend for themselves, and saw a niche that really needed to be filled, especially with the cybersecurity aspect. Um, so that's how I got started doing this, and I wanted to bring kind of a professional expertise and that enterprise level of IT service to smaller businesses, mom and pop shops, things like that.
Right on. So tell me what's a typical job look like for you? What do folks bring you in for?
Oh, I mean, like I said, we just got started. So right now, I actually just got a website done for a local landscaping company. He'd been using
Cool.
Facebook as his sole way of getting new clientele. Um, and he'd noticed that when he tried to get bigger jobs, people had asked him for his website, and he'd give them a Facebook page, and they kind of go, "Oh yeah, you know what? We'll get in touch." And so that can be a big point of contention because it's scary to look at some of these web developers and see how much it costs, and then trying to figure out how to do it on your own while running a business can be a huge headache.
For
So
sure.
I try to do it for a lot cheaper than the bigger guys, and I try and make websites that are easy for small business owners to come back through and be able to customize on their own without having to pay for additional services every time they want to change the menu or add a second location to their website.
That's awesome. That's I'm looking at your website right now, and it's really good, nice design. And I agree with you too. As an entrepreneur myself, unless you have a passion for coding and web development and things of that nature, and some familiarity with it too, it can be a pretty big hurdle just to even make a web page. I also think that there's an interesting statistic, sorry, that goes along with what you're talking about. Did you know? I'm sure you know this, but 53% of web sharing occurs inside of the Facebook ecosystem. So even though that's happening, folks are still looking for websites. They're still looking. They want to know that you have a website. And I noticed too from tracking bounce rates and things like that. When I share content from my website, people will go there from Facebook. I can see the activity. I'll drop the link and I can run over and look at the activity. They'll hit the website. They'll see what they're looking for, and then they go right back to Facebook. It's real interesting that even now, with over half of web sharing occurring inside that ecosystem, folks are still looking for websites.
Oh, absolutely. And if you don't have one, a lot of people will look at you as if you're not a legitimate business. You're just some guy on the side of the road saying that you own something. Um, and it's sad, and it's definitely a hurdle, even with some of these, easy to use services like Wix and Squarespace. If you don't know what you're doing, that can still be very intimidating when you get this big UI that pops up in front of you with a bunch of terms that you have no idea what they mean. And you're more worried about getting your business off the ground. And this is just one more thing to take away your time and money that you don't have.
Right, time, especially as an solo entrepreneur, the time is money, and if you spend 8 hours or 16 hours or a week trying to design a website, that's income you've lost versus hiring somebody like yourself who can knock out a website, a landing page, even just some web presence. Very important. Very important. So, what unique or innovative approaches do you think your business takes?
Well, aside from giving those websites out that are easy for the end user to customize afterwards, I also do free cybersecurity consultations for small businesses, and provide some free training on the site, both through blog posts and training courses. Just basic stuff like understanding phishing attacks. That's one of the most common ways that any company, even Fortune 500 companies, get hit is through somebody clicking a phishing link. Um, I know there's this misconception to a lot of small businesses that if you want to have cybersecurity, you need a huge budget, a whole team of incident responders, a server room, this whole nine yards. We see it in TV. Whenever there's some kind of hack on TV, you got this group of really nerdy looking guys sitting in a bunker somewhere with flashing lights. That's not the reality of it. And I try to show people some of the basic stuff as well as provide them the possibility for, for some different softwares and services I can provide after the consultation that can help keep them secure, such as phishing training software, antivirus, and even just coming back and taking a look from time to time, doing some auditing and monitoring for them, to make sure that they're staying on the up and up and protecting their business and their money.
Good man, good on you. It's interesting. I owned a computer store for a couple of years, and I had a lot of folks who would come in and just needing that basic information, this basic. Hey, this is what a phishing attack looks like. This is how do you decipher what is and is not a legitimate email? All the spam we get. I for somehow I got on somebody's radar, and I get at least 3 emails a day from Lowe's that are straight up phishing attacks. And I used to show folks, and still do sometimes, how even just looking at the subject line, you can tell if they misspelled Lowe's, or there's no apostrophe, or the originating email address. These are all things that you can look for. You hover over a domain before you click on it. A lot of stuff like that folks just need some help with. It's very good on
Oh,
them.
yeah, absolutely. I mean, and it's not as hard as they think. Like you said, a lot of times it's just looking for those grammar mistakes and that sort of thing. But they push that sense of urgency. Like, if you don't do this now, this horrible thing's going to happen. So click this link and get it fixed. And the human
Yep.
response is, "Oh no, I don't want to deal with the bad part. So let me click on this and fix this up real quick." And yeah, it's terrible.
It's scary too. I had a lot of folks would come in just scared. I got this email from Microsoft that says, I've been hacked, and they're going to take all my information if I don't pay them $297. When in reality, if they call that number and pay $297, the threat is actually installing the malware at that point, and then they're going to ask you for $800, because they'll tell you, "Hey, we got you. You've been hacked, and now we want $800." And I had one unfortunate individual who came in, and she'd given over $2,000 before she said something's wrong here, and she called her bank, and the bank sent her to me to say, "Hey, and help this person clean this computer up," and it all started with that email, that phishing email. So, good man. So, what are some of the biggest challenges you faced in your business so far, and how have you overcome them?
So far, the biggest challenge I'm facing is just marketing. I've definitely learned that marketing is not my strong suit. I don't have any kind of formal training in getting my business name out there. I had the technical skills, and that was easy working for somebody else. But this is definitely my first forte in trying to use my skills in a way that I think is the right way to use them, rather than working for some big business, and trying to get the word out there that, hey, I'm here to help you, in the community, has definitely been difficult and a slow start.
Yeah, marketing is its own beast. As the admin of the 411, I that's my job is largely marketing, and if I can offer any advice, it's doing stuff like this, and it's also I call it adding value. Get into the comments and drop value into the comments. So many people are afraid to answer questions because, it's called gatekeeping. They're afraid to give their information, give their knowledge away. But I have found that the more open you are with that knowledge, it actually builds a tribe of authentic followers who will then use your business when something comes up that's beyond their scope, or they'll recommend your business. I often say to folks too, do stuff like start a blog, and just the conversation that we're having here, the nuggets of wisdom you're dropping, get in there, write a little blog post. Literally, what is phishing? How do you detect a phishing email? And that is a blog post that you can share again and again and again when people ask questions like that. And it's evergreen content because it's always going to be applicable. But that would be my marketing advice to you on that.
I definitely gained a new respect for graphic designers and marketers and the people that make all these advertisements that we're bombarded with on a daily basis. There's a lot more work that goes into that than I ever realized. So,
Oh yeah, there is some. It's a and two for my I like to say I'm good at marketing, but I'm not good at graphic design. So my wife frequently tells me I have no aesthetic sense. So that's cool. Uh, I think we already hit on this, but how do you differentiate your business from the competition?
Yeah. So, like I had said before, you're right. I did hit on it. Was a lot of these businesses are aimed at kind of the bigger fish in the pond. They want as much bang for their buck as possible, and that leaves a lot of small businesses kind of high and dry. And that's my target audience is small business and individuals as well. Um, Even if your grandma just got her first Microsoft Office set up and doesn't know how to send an email, I'm more than happy to go out and kind of just show her the ropes in a way that's not full of jargon and whatnot, kind of get her onto the email system and learn how the computer works without frustrating her too much. As well as getting small businesses set up like local restaurants or that family-owned shop on the corner. Um, that's really the market I want to get into, and I do not. And like you said, I don't mind giving away some of that information for free, like the cybersecurity consultations. That first consultation is always free. I'm always going to really push the whole phishing thing and making sure you're keeping your stuff up to date, and the basic tips that if you knew where to look online, you could find that free anyway. There's no reason I should be charging anybody for that.
You do have to make a living though too. So, have you considered doing like Zoom classes where you can and you could post those in the 411 too. You could get in there and say, hey, here's a 45-minute class on phishing or 15-minute class on how to spot a fake email.
Yeah, I have considered that, and I do offer on-site training, and that would be a little more in depth than just here's what phishing is, here's a few tips you could do, because that, like you said, I do have to make a living on the side, but I don't want to use free information to make a profit and then leave you high and dry either. That doesn't build a good rapport, and that doesn't make me a good community member in the community. Um, so that is something that I have thought about offering was classes. I hadn't actually thought of Zoom. That's a good idea, but
Yeah. The software we're using here right now is called, and I like it because you can do custom backgrounds, and it's really neat, and you can zoom into. You can also this software specifically interfaces with Zoom, so we could have hosted this as a Zoom call as well, and use this camera setup that we have here for that too. But anyway, just if you're interested, that's neat software. Uh, so what's the your vision for the future of your business?
Oh, well, for my short term goal, I want to end up being the guy that's helping all the local Monument and North Colorado Springs small businesses. I know we have a lot of mom and pop shops here,
We
and
do.
so I want to kind of build that client base and get them all up and running. I know that a lot of them don't have websites. They don't really know a whole lot about the IT side of things because that's just not their passion, not their industry. Um, as far as the future goes, I'd like to start franchising this business out into some of my friends in other states and get that niche filled across the country, that where these small businesses aren't being left behind to fend for themselves, and in the case of cybersecurity, in the case of web design and getting managed services and having their IT to where they can compete with the bigger guys. um, so ultimately my goal is to lift small business up in the digital world to the same level as medium and large business.
Very cool, and there's definitely a need for it. I agree. All right, let's close this up with some fun questions here. What was your dream job as a kid?
So growing up, my dad was an officer in the army, so I always idolized him growing up, and I definitely wanted to be a soldier my whole life, and until I started getting older and found and met my wife, and she decided that me going overseas and fighting wars wasn't the coolest thing ever, like I thought it was with my testosterone filled late teenage mind.
Fair enough. I did 20 years in the military, and I remember being a young E5, no family, no relationship, being deployed and seeking those opportunities to forward deploy and yeah, it's a young man's game for sure, or a young person's game. Now, the thought of deploying and leaving my kiddos behind is it pulls it a different direction. Okay, if you could eat one food for the rest of your life, what would it be?
Oh, man, that's definitely a hard question to answer. But I think I'd have to go with brisket. I was raised in the South by a Southern family. I love smoking meat, and there's something about a juicy, tender, fall apart brisket that's just amazing. It's filling.
Uh,
Um,
excuse me. So we had a technical glitch there, but you were just saying about how brisket is just so good, and I think that's what I want for lunch now.
Yeah, you can never go wrong with brisket. There's something about a juicy slice of brisket fresh off the smoker that's just
Nice.
heartwarming.
Last one. If you could time travel, where would you go and when?
So time travel, I think a good place to visit might be back in ancient Greece, right around the time of the great philosophers Socrates and those guys. I'd love to pick their brain about all kinds of different things. I like doing some of those mental gymnastics and philosophy and just thinking outside of the box. And I think getting some straight on lessons from a guy like Socrates would be pretty amazing.
That's pretty cool. So you're like a cyber warrior philosopher kind of guy.
I'm not sure I'd call myself a philosopher, but it's definitely a subject that I do find interesting.
Right on. Right on. Very cool. Well, thank you, Trey. Uh, Website is allamericancyber.com, if I'm not mistaken. Is that
That's
right?
correct.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. And what's the best way to get a hold of you?
So you can either go through allamericancyber.com. We do have a contact form there, or you can call me at 719-259-2259.
Right on, man. Last couple words. So they're all yours.
Consultations starting off, and we'll get you figured out one way or the other.
Awesome. You mind repeating that one more time? You froze on my end, just in case it froze for the bigger picture too.
Oh yeah, absolutely. If any small businesses are watching and are interested in any kind of IT services, we do give free consultations, and we're looking forward to helping you out.
Thanks, Trey. Thanks for your time. See
Yeah,
you
thank
next time.
you.
Thank
All
you.
right, have a good one.
You too.